I will never forget what it felt like sitting on that boat, observing those elephants crossing the river in the pouring rain, or what it felt like to snorkel around Lankayan Island and to look at the giant clams and the starfish in the water. I am a travel writer. My work is represented on many different websites, including the National Geographic Channel, Nat Geo Wild, NBC News, and iVillage. I've been fortunate enough to travel to a lot of really cool places, and in the last year alone, I've gone dog sledding in the Poconos, I've snorkeled with manatees in Florida, backpacked Europe for 2 weeks, and I swam with whale sharks in Mexico. But I would say my most memorable trip out of all of these was last fall in August of 2010. I went to Sabah, Malaysia, which is on the island of Borneo, and I traveled there with a group called Terra Incognita Eco Tours on a mission to gather wildlife content for National Geographic Wild's website. It was really the most life-changing experience that I've ever had. One of the first things that we did on our trip was we traveled to Mount Kinabalu, which is the tallest mountain in Southeast Asia. And we had the opportunity to hike up into the cloud forest where there's just a diverse group of pitcher plants and beautiful orchids. It was very quiet and serene and just really a spiritual experience to be up there. We also traveled to Sandakan Central Market, which was just a gobsmack of all these different sights and smells and sounds that felt very unique to that area. I saw fruits I've never seen before. The fish market was incredible. They sold giant barracuda, and I actually got to hold a barracuda. My favorite part of the entire trip was when we traveled to Sukau, which is a little village along the river of the lower Kinabatangan River. And it's in the heart of the rainforest and the most spectacular scenery I've ever seen. And we stayed at the Proboscis Lodge there, which was more rustic conditions than some of the other places, but I love that about it. It was just so magical to be out there. And when we stayed at the lodge, that's when we did a lot of these wildlife expedition experiences. We would go out on the river several times a day and do some wildlife tracking. And there's the most diverse wildlife there. There are orangutans, crab-eating macaques, which is a type of monkey, hornbills, crocodiles. There's lots of tree-dwelling snakes, and we were able to get pretty close to these animals. In terms of all of the wildlife things I've done with my career and on this trip, when we tracked the wild elephants, it was the most amazing thing that I've ever done. And it took us several days to track them. It wasn't like you just went down the river and the elephants were there. The Borneo pygmy elephant is unique to that area, and they have smaller ears and a longer tail, and they live in a very large herd there. So we were able to observe about 60 elephants, including several babies, and we saw them on a downpouring rain afternoon, and we witnessed them crossing the river and then grazing along the banks of the river. The final part of the trip, we went to Lankayan Island, which is a tropical island that's well known for its dive sites. There's over 30 dive sites there, including 2 wrecks, and it's a pretty small island. You can walk around it on the beach. There's only one place, one accommodation for the entire island. And we stayed in these beautiful chalets that had high ceilings. Each one overlooked the beach and had a hammock. You could lay there and read a book. I got a lot of writing done there and just stroll along the beach and pick up shells. When I look back, when I traveled over there, I just look back with such fond memories that it was truly one of the most amazing things that I've ever done in my life. I was able to encounter wildlife that I have never seen before, and maybe we'll never have the opportunity to see again, as several of the species, including the orangutan, is endangered. So if you want to visit Malaysia, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. The trip that I went on was a little bit more high-end because it had a diverse group experience. We went to several different places. We stayed at nice accommodations. But if you want to travel on your own, the most expensive part of your trip will really be the international flight. Once you're there in Malaysia, the food is inexpensive, just a couple dollars here and there. If you want to purchase gifts to bring them home, such as the pearl bracelets or hand-woven baskets, you can negotiate those prices at market to really make the trip fit your budget. If you'd like to learn more information about the places I visited in Malaysia, Borneo, you can go to my wander list at wanderfly.com. And if you want to learn more about me and my published works, feel free to check out my website at jodikendall.com. And if you want to travel to Borneo on this exact same tour that I did, visit the Terra Incognita's Ecotours website, which is www.ecotours.com.